I'm Pat Doris. Welcome to The Story. On my drive to work late this morning, I saw something that was disturbing and sadly not all that rare. Someone in a mental health crisis was putting themselves and others in danger. As I drove down Fremont in Northeast Portland, someone was lying perpendicular across the lanes of the road near Garfield. They were not sleeping, they were just lying there. Super dangerous, super alarming. A few people were standing around the person trying to help them out, so I didn't stop and I didn't get involved, but it made me really think again about mental health and some of the people who are out on our streets, and also about the state mental health hospital. And it's one more reason the issues with that state hospital make up our big story. Oregon has one official mental health hospital, and it's in Salem. There's a smaller one in Junction City, which is northwest of Eugene, but tonight we're just going to focus on Salem. The hospital there is full. That is a problem because there are lots of people with serious mental health problems stuck waiting in county jails around the state, waiting to get into that very hospital, but there's just no room for them. Tonight we're going to hear from an advocate for those prisoners, Emily Cooper. She's the legal director for Disability Rights Oregon. The group led a lawsuit that is forcing the early release of people who are at the state hospital now next month to make room for other patients. We'll also talk with a county prosecutor who says it's a terrible idea, and he's worried about the consequences of releasing people who are not done with their mental health treatment. That's Kevin Barton from Washington County. Now, let's make sure we're all on the same page. What we're talking about is a group of people charged with crimes who cannot aid and assist in their own defense. So, for example, someone gets arrested for robbery. Let's call him Bob. Bob goes to court. His attorney says, "Judge, my client has serious mental health issues and is not aware of what's happening even right now. They cannot aid and assist in their own defense." If the judge agrees, they'll send Bob to the state hospital where he should get the medication or the assistance that he needs to understand what's happening in court, and then eventually he'll go back to court. But right now, the state hospital is already full of patients, as I said. About half were convicted of crimes but ruled insane, and those people could be there for a long time. And the rest are people being restored so that they can aid and assist with their defense. So let's go back to Bob. The judge said he should be admitted to the state hospital, but instead he's waiting and waiting and still waiting in a county jail cell, waiting for that spot to open up in the state hospital. Now, people like Bob are only supposed to be waiting in jail for 7 days or less. But right now, that wait is nearly 40 days to get into the state hospital. And because this wait, Disability Rights Oregon and the Metro Public Defender's Office asked a federal judge to tell the state hospital to set firm timelines for treatment. And then they're going to move people out of the hospital faster, which will get people out of jail faster and into the hospital. Here's Emily Cooper from Disability Rights Oregon. And by the way, I want to apologize. There was something in my home office that kept making a sound and kept bringing the Zoom camera back to me. It happens way too often, and so I apologize for that. I left it in, though, because it was happening while Emily was talking, and I wanted you to hear her comments.
Jails are not designed to treat. They're designed to punish. So jails are in this awful predicament of how do we keep this person safe? And the way they tend to do that is to take away their clothes, to take away their belongings, to put them in isolation rooms. And that is hard on anyone's mental health, much less someone who already is pretty ill. And so you have these awful punitive jail conditions. But the other real major thing is that people die in jail waiting to get to the state hospital. So that's why the 7-day rule that was implemented by the court 20 years ago is so important. There's a recognition, not just that their liberty is being deprived, but that there are some real serious, irrevocable harm that can happen to people while they wait.
She's talking about suicides or deaths that come from the mental health issue. She pointed to the tragic case of a 22-year-old man who died in the Washington County Jail this past spring. The man had severe mental health problems and stopped eating and drinking while in jail, and he died as he was waiting for a spot to open up at the state mental hospital. This new timeline goes like this. Those charged with a misdemeanor will only be treated for a maximum of 90 days and then released back to the county from which they came. Non-Measure 11 felonies, not violent, can be treated for up to 6 months. People charged with violent felonies can be treated for up to a year. I mean, I think a lot of us assume that if patients are sent to the state hospital and are still there, they are still there because they still need to be there, and that putting them out just on an arbitrary timeline maybe sends people out into the community that are not fully, I guess the term is restored. And I wonder if your feeling is that actually that's not the case, that maybe the state hospital is just not administratively on top of it. They're keeping people longer than they need to. What do you think?
Yes to both of those questions. I think first, the vast majority of people sent to the state hospital for restoration treatment are restored within these time periods. And we know that the hospital has what they call their ready to place list. And right now that ready to place list, I believe, is close to 60 people who they say don't need to be at the state hospital anymore. And so I think the ultimate problem is a lot of folks assume that when you go to the state hospital, you're there for comprehensive mental health treatment until you are 100% better. And that's just not the reality. The group of patients we're talking about are simply restored to competency, which means they know who their attorney is, they know who the judge is, they know what charges they've been filed against them, but they still may have unaddressed mental health issues.
The state hospital tells me the first batch of people that are going to be released in early October are all on that ready to place list. 17 are charged with misdemeanors, 6 are charged with nonviolent felonies. But they're just the beginning. A total of more than 100 people will be released over the next 15 months. A couple of weeks ago, the hospital released a list that showed the number of patients being let out for each county. Now they're refusing to update that, saying it would violate the medical privacy rights of those people. Counties, though, are being notified 30 days before the release, according to the hospital. I asked Emily Cooper about the concern that some of these patients are going to end up living on the street.
I think that is a valid concern because a lot of the people that are on the wait list right now to get into the hospital were arrested for crimes related to their houselessness. They may have already not had a home and been charged with vagrancy or trespassing. And so, yes, I think that is a risk that they were houseless and they will be again, but there's still no legal or clinical reason because someone doesn't have a home to keep them in a jail or to keep them in a psychiatric hospital.
Now, as you might imagine, some are cheering this new time limit. Others think it's a dreadful mistake. One of those who think it's a big mistake is Kevin Barton, the Washington County District Attorney. He and 2 others DAs sued to block the new timelines, and they lost. And now he is worried.
The first question is, where do they go? Some might say they should go back to the jail because that's where they were before they went to the hospital. Some might say they shouldn't go to the jail because there's a mental health issue they have, and the jail is not a good place for people with mental health issues. So if they go to the jail, that's problematic. If they don't go to the jail and go to the community, that can be problematic depending on the nature of the crime that the person committed. So for example, in Washington County, we looked at our list of who's at the state hospital now, and we have 3 people who are facing murder charges. 2 of those people are beyond the 1-year time limit that is now imposed. So depending on how this works, it's entirely possible that we could have people facing murder charges, sexual assault charges, domestic violence, child abuse, all the way down to the less serious charges, the property crimes and the public order offenses, who are released back to the communities.
Okay, but I got to believe for these 2 murders, if that happened, they'd be in the Washington County jail pretty fast.
I don't know the answer to that. That's an unintended consequence, I think, and an unanswered question, because these are people who a judge has said do not belong in the jail because they have documented mental health issues and they need a hospital level of treatment. So we have one judge saying don't keep them in the jail. We have one other rule saying bring them back from the hospital. And what we don't know is where do they go.
I talked with Kevin Barton today to just update things. He said they've not been notified of anyone being sent to their county in October, so it's possible that no one is being released to Washington County in this first batch. But as you can see, that is a major concern for law enforcement folks like the district attorney. I asked him why the jail couldn't just create a special area for people with mental health issues.
Absolutely, that certainly is one solution. You could essentially create a county hospital to replace what the state hospital is doing. And The question there, though, is there are 36 counties in Oregon, and how quickly can 36 counties create 36 separate little hospitals to do what the state should really be doing in the first place? And the reality is, just the practical reality is, that's not going to happen. Those resources don't exist in all 36 counties. They may not exist in any single county because that's asking a pretty big lift for the counties to do in such a short amount of time, because we're talking about, in a matter of weeks, the hospital plans to suddenly discharge people.
DA Barton there says the real solution is to expand the state hospital, to build in more capacity because it's obviously needed. He blamed hospital executives for a lack of leadership, and he accused them of ignoring this issue that they've known about for years. So that's the latest on the mess at the Oregon State Hospital. It's important to understand, though, because I think this is going to affect all of us. So what do you think about this? Is the artificial timeline dangerous? Is it a good thing? Should the state hospital expand? Do you have a better solution? Send me your thoughts. Our email is thestory@kgw.com, or you can call and leave a voicemail, 503-226-5090.
When it comes to politics in Oregon, all eyes are on the race for governor. Yesterday, we told you who's pouring the most money into each campaign, and we want to empower you to do some financial digging on your own. We'll take you step by step through the process when the story returns.
Politics. A lot of you are keeping a close eye on Oregon's race for governor, and for good reason. It's projected to be a toss-up. And obviously, there's a lot at stake for the future of the state, depending on who's in charge. This week, a viewer named Steve asked about the largest campaign contributions to each candidate, and we answered that question on yesterday's show, so if you missed it, sorry. I'm kidding. In case you missed it, here's the biggest donor for each campaign. For Democrat Tina Kotek and Republican Christine Drazen, they're getting the most money from the fundraising arm of their big national political parties. For unaffiliated candidate Betsy Johnson, well, she has Nike co-founder Phil Knight on her side, not bad, bringing in nearly $2 million. And all of the money these campaigns bring in are part of a public record. It's available to you to look at. It's in the Oregon Secretary of State's ORSTAR Campaign Finance Database. I know it's a terrible name, but there it is. This isn't a journalist secret or a media-only website. It's free, and it's for you. It's for all of us as a community to be able to see where the campaigns are getting their funds from and how they're spending them. That's why we asked our digital reporter, Anthony Masuk, to help walk you through the process of assessing the site step by step so that you can hop online anytime and do some digging on your own.
To get started, go to secure.sos.state.or.us/ORSTAR, or you can just go to Google or another search engine, type in the word ORSTAR, and it should be the first result. In the menu on the left, click the first option under Public Search, Committee/Filers by name. Then enter the name of the candidate you want to look up, either by putting their name in the Committee/Filer name bar at the top, or by filling out the first name and last name sections at the bottom and checking the box for candidate. For this example, let's look up Betsy Johnson. Since you searched for a specific candidate, that candidate's campaign committee should be the only result. Click on it to pull up the main listing for their candidate committee. If you want information about their overall financial status, click on this account summary link at the bottom. This will take you to a page that totals up all their transactions so far for the current calendar year, broken down into contributions, that's money coming in from donors, and expenditures, which is money going out on things like mailers and TV ads. In-kind contributions are donations of goods or services rather than cash. You can also see how much money the candidate had at the start of the year and the sum of their contributions minus their expenses for the year, which gives you their cash balance. And that's how much money their campaign actually has at its disposal at the moment. That final number, balance deficit, is the candidate's cash on hand minus other financial obligations like outstanding loans and personal expenses. Although note that in this case, deficit doesn't mean that the campaign is in the red. If it owed more money than it has available, this would be a negative number. Going back to the campaign committee's main page, if you want to see a list of all their individual transactions, click on this link for campaign finance activity. This gives you a basic list of transactions that you can sort by date or by amount to see who's writing the biggest checks. Donors listed in red are from out of state. And it's important to note here that this list includes both contributions and expenditures, so make sure you're looking at the right thing. This one, for example, is a lot of money, but it's an expenditure, so that's money that the campaign paid to the company Targeted Platform Media, not the other way around. But these two from Phil Knight, those are contributions that he made to the campaign. It's also important to check the date on transactions if you're looking to see the biggest donors for the 2022 election in particular, because if the candidate you're looking up has run for any office in a prior election, and that's true of all three candidates in the race for governor this year, there might be some transactions from past election cycles that are also on this list. If you want to see a more detailed version of the data, you can click Export to Excel format to download the list as an Excel spreadsheet. To look up another candidate, you can click on Committee/Filers by name again to go back to the beginning, but unfortunately you can't open it in a new tab because, as you will learn if you try, ORSTAR does not support multiple tabs. So now you too can feel the pain of every Oregon journalist who has ever tried to look up two campaigns at once for a side-by-side comparison. We'll be keeping an eye on ORSTAR and all other election news over at kgw.com. Anthony Masuk, KGW.
Anthony, great report. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. That was a great refresher for me. Now go digging, folks. And we wanted to answer one more viewer question. It's one that several of you have asked whenever we do a story on the governor's race. Ginny wanted to know, will there be a meaningful debate more than 30 to 60 seconds to answer between the three candidates prior to the ballots being sent out? I would love to hear more than the vitriol heard in the campaign ads on issues that will affect us when one of them wins. Well, Ginny, we have good news. A drum roll, please. And you viewers of the story are the first to be hearing this. It's an exclusive announcement, if you will. Mark your calendars for October 19th at 7 p.m. KGW is partnering with the Oregonian to host all three gubernatorial candidates in a debate that night. They're going to answer as many of your pressing questions as we can get in, and there are a ton already. So that's Wednesday, October 19th at 7 p.m. And of course, we'll remind you about it as we get closer to the debate. Still to come on the story, we're taking a look at Portland's homeless crisis along the sides of Northeast 33rd Drive. They're littered with RVs and trash even after the city cleared one side of the road last week. Well, we went out there again today to see what's changed and, well, what hasn't, and where we all go from here. We'll take a look when we come back. Now let's take a look at Portland's homeless crisis along Northeast 33rd Drive. We've profiled it countless times. It's a long stretch where homeless people are known to camp in their RVs. It's been a week since the city cleared camps on one side of the street. Where did all those people go? Well, they went to the other side of the street, of course. Blair Best went back out there today to see what's being done about it.
About a week and a half ago, PBOT removed RVs and cars, clearing this side of Northeast 33rd. Today, we see a handful of cars that have moved back in. But this week, the city's focus is the other side of the street, working with the homeless to clean up garbage. One by one, RID patrol crews work their way down this line of RVs along the west side of Northeast 33rd Drive, removing garbage from each campsite as those living here anxiously await their turn.
It's intimidating, that's for sure. I mean, just to know everything you have could just be gone just like that, you know.
Trevor Woods started gathering trash from his campsite at 7 a.m.
Anything on this side of the curb has to be completely off, just like on that side they, moved everything off.
Getting rid of garbage and tires and things from previous tenants.
Between January 1st to August 31st, Metro's RID Patrol team has worked on Northeast 33rd Drive 14 times and removed 29 tons of trash. On this corner alone, they removed 9 tons. Do you think it's helpful at all that they're helping you clean up the garbage?
Oh, I mean, definitely that part is helpful, because people driving around and they see all the garbage, it's depressing.
Metro estimates 50% of it is dumped by contractors and people who aren't homeless.
It's not fair to us because it makes us look bad. It makes it look like it's our mess all the time.
Last week, the Portland Bureau of Transportation cleared camps from the east side of the street, the one closest to the airport, to avoid violating FAA regulations.
So basically, right up in this piece, like it goes to a crankshaft.
Now, those on the west side, like Tara Pietramonaco, are preparing to be swept.
to make sure the bolts are all tightened, and then my truck will run.
She's working on fixing her pickup truck, so she's ready to tow her RVs once the city tells her to leave. But not knowing what comes next
I don't know.
means it's a fight to keep moving forward.
I don't want to stay out here. No, I'm losing my mind. I'm losing my mind. I am so over everything here. Like, I've sometimes just wanted to just walk out the door and just start walking and just literally walk away from it. Everything, everybody, everything, because it's hard.
Last week, the city's impact reduction team cleaned and removed 4 camps here along Northeast 33rd. And since then, 2 others have been posted for removal. In Northeast Portland, Blair Best, KGW News.
Thanks, Blair. And since Blair spent most of her day out in the field, we emailed her some questions to learn more about her story. Mostly, we wanted to hear her impression of how things have changed or not out there on 33rd. We also wondered how hard it is to get those great interviews that she does.
Hey Pat, we're out here on Northeast 33rd Drive. You can see a lot of the RVs and the campers behind me. It's quite a hub where a lot of homeless people park their RVs. And you asked me if it's different out here. You know, I've been out on this strip about 4 or 5 times in the past month, and I would say today is different. You know, for one thing, this entire side of the street is pretty much clear. And earlier today, city RID patrol crews were removing garbage from behind these camps here. So it's cleaner. A lot of the camps have moved on. You know, everyone out here is desperate. That really is what it comes down to. They all tell me that they're in desperate need of help. And you were asking me, is it hard to talk to these people and to, you know, do these people want to share their story with us? And I would say they do. A lot of people just want to be heard, and they want people to see what it's like living how they live. And I think it's just going into it with an understanding that this is a high-stakes situation for everyone involved, whether it be those living on the streets, the neighbors, the living nearby, the city searching for a solution, or the business owners that are struggling with the camps outside their business. And if you just go into it, I find, with an understanding that it's high stakes for everyone, then there's a bit of compassion that comes through, and you can really connect with someone on a personal level and understand their story, whatever angle that may be. And so that leads me to solutions. You know, everyone has a different solution for this problem. One I heard today, you know, out here by a woman who I've talked with a couple times. Her name's Tara. She was just asking me, why don't people come out and talk to us and see what it's like? You know, why don't people who can help us, people from the city, and see what we go through and actually hear what we need? So I went back to the station earlier today, and I just typed up a list of resources for her because she didn't seem like she knew who to reach out to or who to call. So I'm about to go drop off that list and see if it helps her.
Good for you, Blair. Lots of compassion there. That's what we love about her. When we come back, how you can help foster kids in the Salem area. This week for our Hey Help campaign, we're highlighting Salem Angels. They help empower children and families in the foster care system by providing community support with several programs like Love Box. Volunteers create personalized care packages each month to meet the needs of the children and parents in the foster care system to help provide support and create community. This can include snacks, activities, or books for kids, or gift cards or household supplies for the parents. If you'd like to donate to Salem Angels or learn how to volunteer to create love boxes, just open up your camera function right now on your phone and hover it over the QR code there on the right side of your screen. It will take you to their website where you can learn more and you can donate to them directly. Hey, that's the end of our show. Thanks for being here. And remember, the story, our story, well, that never ends. I'll see